Singapore just became one of the first countries to make AI literacy training mandatory for all of their public servants. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what are some of the key lessons that business leaders should be taking away from this announcement. So first, let's look to a key statement from the announcement, which says the public service must not only keep up with these changes, but also lead in applying AI-driven tools to govern better and serve better. In other words, when you're adopting AI, you also have to make sure that you're doing it responsibly. And one of the things that I found very interesting from the report is that 1/3 of public servants regularly use the in-house AI assistant pair, but also there are over 16,000 custom AI bots that are in place at the moment that are being used to automate tasks, to help with research, to supplement with writing. And so, what are some of the key questions that business leaders should be taking away from this announcement? Number one is, how are you raising the level of responsible AI use within your organization? It's so important for business leaders to understand what their role is in creating a culture of responsible AI use, but also importantly, thinking about how does the rate of adoption of AI adoption match AI literacy awareness within your business or your organization? Because what you'll have is, if you are adopting AI on a large scale, which I would consider the level of custom bots that are in place within the public service to be quite on a large scale. But regardless of whatever the scale is, when as you are implementing AI or adopting AI within your business, you also have to be consciously thinking about how are you creating AI literacy awareness. And when we're talking about AI literacy awareness, we're not just talking about teaching your employees about how to prompt in ChatGPT. We're talking about actively helping them to understand not just the benefits of AI, but also what are the risks that comes with it. What are some of the considerations that they need to have in place as they are using it? The kind of considerations or carefulness that they need to have in terms of the data that they're inputting, in terms of how they are using it. But then also importantly, I guess, my other key takeaway from this announcement is, how do you make sure that you are moving away from one-off trainings to create a culture of responsible AI development and use? Often, I think we're all very familiar with this, with some of these trainings. You go to the trainings, you might be able to retain some of the information, but at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can remember from a one-off training. So how do you actually make sure, or how do you make sure that you are taking steps to ensure that responsible AI use is not just a thing that you cover in a one-off training once a year, but it becomes part of your culture? And I would say this is particularly important for product teams, essentially, because as you're building products, you want to make sure that people have a high consideration about, what does responsibility mean? What are some of the decisions that we're making? How are we thinking about the impact on our stakeholders? What are the risks that we're presented with? Are we recording? Are we recording? Do we have an auditable trail for some of the decisions that we are taking? So I would say, this announcement from the Singaporean government is such an interesting one, and it's one for business leaders to also focus on in terms of their own organizations, to think about what are the steps that you are taking to make sure that responsible AI use is something that everyone within the organization is aware about. So again, just to summarize, key takeaways: AI literacy isn't a nice to have, it's a must have. AI literacy is also a leadership responsibility, and your AI adoption rate should match your literacy awareness. So at Storytelling for AI Governance, we use a story-informed approach to help you deliver and facilitate AI governance training that sticks and creates impact so that you can lead with confidence.